Actually,
May I have your attention, folks? It's post time. But not the racetrack. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming this evening. Really appreciate it. Excuse me, my voice is a little bit off. I have a little bit of a cold. Kind of got cold out there for Christmas in Clinton all day. I should have known better to go inside once in a while. Stay out. First order of business is to elect a monitor for tonight's meeting. So do I hear any nominations from the floor?
Make a motion, Bruce Farmers moderator.
Uh-oh. Second already. Second? Okay, do we have any other nominations from the floor?
Nominations be closed.
Second.
Okay. Now I need a motion to declare myself as the moderator. Seconded by?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sounds like motion carries. Thank you. Now, the town clerk, Sharon, would read the entire call of the meeting.
Legal notice, Town of Clinton, special town meeting. The electors of the Town of Clinton and all other citizens qualified to vote in town meetings of the said Town of Clinton are hereby notified and warned that a special town meeting will be held at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, December 7, 2016 at the William Stanton Andrews Memorial Town Hall, 54 East Main Street, Clinton, Connecticut, to hear and consider and act upon the following. Resolved, to discontinue the entire length of Church Road as a town road as approved by the Board of Selectmen at their meeting on October 19, 2016, and the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 14, 2016, dated at Clinton, Connecticut, the 16th of November 2016, Bruce N. Farmer, First Selectman, published in the Harbor News on December 1st, 2016.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the call as read.
Great. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. Now again, the clerk will just read the resolution itself since it's so significant.
Resolved, to discontinue the entire length of Church Road as a town road as approved by the Board of Selectmen at their meeting on October 19, 2016, and the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 14, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There you go. Any discussion?
I have a question,
Sure.
discussion. If this does pass, when does it take effect? Immediately, or is there a waiting period? Anybody know?
I believe it takes effect as soon as we make the decision tonight, if you make the decision tonight. Any other questions? Must be any questions.
I'm just, I'd like to know the logic behind why the town decided to do this.
Well, when you turn over property to somebody else, the road goes with it, basically. So,
But there's still residential and commercial property on that road
right?
that's been there for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
No commercial property.
Cemetery Association, I assume it's,
Cemetery Road is actually, if you look on the maps, is cemetery. That's not part of what's being, you're giving church,
isn't the cemetery building on Church Road?
the Pate Building is landlocked by you guys.
Yeah, but isn't the address Church Road?
I don't know what the address is, to be honest with you.
It is 45 Church Road.
You had to
It
give
is.
them that, you had to give them an easement to get across your property to get to Church Road.
We have an easement right now with the church.
Right. So-
However, that is from Church Road.
I get it, and I talked to, I don't know who I talked to about this.
I think I talked to you.
Yeah, I said that we would get the easement redrawn to give you an easement to the cemetery road.
From that piece.
From that, we would, I think one of the concerns the church expressed was that they had just done an easement to allow you access to Church Road. They're now getting Church Road, which would be their property, so now you need an easement to.
I need an easement from Cemetery Road
To
to
the
my
house.
driveway on Church Road.
Which is what we're gonna pay to have that done. I don't think the church is objecting to that, because that was the original.
I'm aware of
So I'm gonna take care of that, okay?
Okay.
I've already talked to them. Art Barton did the original easement.
Yes.
we'll hire our town, will pick up, I've talked to Bruce about that, we'll pick up the tab to get that all straightened out.
Okay.
And the church is in agreement with just, they gave you an easement over their property to get to it, so it's just continued easement to cemetery.
Okay.
It was actually given to the Papes the previous.
But the pay, yeah, but we'll take care of it. Yeah. All right?
Also, you need to
I
know,
was very concerned.
No, I understand that, for sure.
you also need to know that we will continue to do the plowing back there,
Cemetery.
Cemetery Road, out to the west side, all the way around to Post Road, because you need access to the cemetery and to the property that abuts the fire department. So
Okay.
we'll do.
We're gonna do Cemetery Road right into the opening into this, to the pillars,
Right.
and that little parking area, which you guys are part owner of, I guess.
Right. Yes, they are. And we own just before the pillars.
Right, so
Right.
unless you object, we'll clean up to that point, because that's also access to that parcel of land that the fire department has where their little facility is. There's a driveway that goes off to that. Yeah,
Right. It's important to keep that open.
we'll maintain that.
Mr. Singer.
Yeah, Mr. Farmer, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to speak to this. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm a member of the Congregational Church, but the opinions I'm going to express now are strictly my own. I have a couple of questions along with some comments. Why is the road being abandoned? It's no more than 100 yards, so it can't be the cost. Why is there such a rush to abandon it? Why what I would view as secrecy of this process, what might happen to the current one-way pattern, and why didn't the town consult with the appropriate parties at both the church and the cemetery association beforehand who are directly affected? Many church members only became aware of this when an agenda for the October 19th Board of Selectmen meeting was posted. At that meeting, the BOS sent a proposal to Planning and Zoning, which is required by law, on a motion made by Selectman John G. and I. At their November 14th meeting, the zoning enforcement officer stated that the church was consulted and had no problem with the abandonment. As far as I know, this is not true, and that objection was raised at that meeting. Private one-on-one conversations with one or two church members who are not authorized to speak on this matter, and perhaps others, is improper and totally insufficient. You should know that Selectman Fritz spoke at the P&Z meeting, assuring us that it was only the piece of church road in front of the Academy building that was proposed for abandonment. It was switched in the legal notice for this meeting to Church Road in its entirety. If not illegal, it's certainly improper. Perhaps realizing the town had little justification for abandonment and had not done its homework, the town's consultant on land use issues was directed to write one, which was dated November 14th, the very day of the planning and zoning meeting. I guess there was no reason to do it ahead of time. Even given the aforementioned issues, I was inclined to go along with abandonment until I read in the consultant's conclusion that Church Road was little more than a driveway for the church. This I found to be insulting and showed an ignorance of the history and the modern day usage of church property. This church has been and remains a prominent part of this community for 349 years. It has been open and welcoming to the public for all of these years. Church property is used by many non-church members for parking without restriction for many purposes. Most recently, Christmas in Clinton, the presidential election, the August fireworks show, Memorial Day parade, large events at the town hall, the community food pantry, the farmer's market, etc. Lastly, I learned that many parents use the church driveway to drop their kids off to school to avoid traffic at Pearson. The church's snowplowing schedule may not meet the needs of those parents. Lastly, we would hope the town would appreciate the great new look of the formerly dilapidated Academy building. It occurred to no one in the church that unfettered parking should ever be restricted in any way. But by allowing this, the church did accept the associated liability. The fact that the property was accessed by a town road did at least subconsciously support this openness policy. We consider the town as a partner and believe the feeling has been mutual. neither the town or the church members apparently considered the long-term implications of this abandonment. But it is not too late to do so now. As they say in football games, this process and its implications should be under further review. I have concluded that this request should be defeated, not because it is flawed in all aspects, but because the flawed process that got us here. Abandonment can be considered at a later time with proper consideration. Thank you.
What were your questions?
What are your questions?
Just make a statement.
You said you had.
Well, why is,
You read the questions.
why is it being abandoned? Why was there such a rush to do, it seemed like it was a big rush as soon as we took ownership of the Academy building. It kind of surprised us, I would say. And there wasn't much publicity on this, I would have to say. And what would happen, what could happen or might happen to the current one-way pattern that's there. I mean, it would have been nice to discuss these things.
Well, the town has no control over the one-way pattern.
That's the state.
That's the state.
That's the state.
But it's a curb cut onto the state right away, so then we'll have to go state traffic commission. I talked to Pastor Horvath about that. They called me about that. They're under the understanding that the church had consulted regarding taking over the road.
What we discussed when the land was, let me just clarify the plowing. The only thing the town ever plowed on that, though, was just behind the Academy. We didn't plow behind your, plowed a very short piece of that.
Right.
The other thing is, it's now a road that doesn't service, it services a private entity for the most part, with the exception of one house, which you're gonna grant easement to. And people park at Ace Hardware to go to these special events, people park behind Shore TV to go to these special events, people park up by CVS to go to these special events, and we don't maintain those either. And I understand what you're saying, but the town then gets into an untenable position with other property owners that are also in the same situation. So it's not a rush to abandon, it's just the proper thing to do because it doesn't serve any active purpose for the town at this point. And we have a lot of private roads that people live on that we do not service at all. So we become exposed if we take one road and continue that where we have not provided that service to multiple other private roads in town, where there are people that currently live that we provide no service to either. So if the town had an active interest in it hasn't had an active interest in the building for years, because we haven't been using it, but we maintained it because we had the road at that point in time. So my point is, whether we do it now or do it later, as you discussed, the outcome should be the same.
Correct.
It shouldn't change the outcome because of the way the thing is, you may not agree with the way it went. I didn't have any part of that particularly, other than suggesting as Director of Public Works, that because the road served no tenable purpose for the town, that the road should be abandoned and given to the church at that point in time. Your issues are the same as CVS, are the same as Ace Hardware. They all have the same issues when you hold town events and things are done. Fire department has an event, they park in your place, they park behind the public place. They park at CVS, the 4th of July, they park all over the place. So I don't think that alone entitles you to be treated, in a special manner at that point in time. Because then I have to deal with everybody else in town that expects the same thing. So, listen, you've done a great job with the building, everybody's glad to see it, but,
It came out beautiful.
other people are gonna say, well, why are we still doing it?
Well, like, as I said, I was inclined to go along with this, but I just didn't like how the whole thing was handled. That's kind of water over the dam, I see.
Proper notices were made.
Well, I know,
The
but
planning zoning voted to abandon church road. I spoke to somebody about the difference in the terminology. Abandoned church road is, you're abandoning the entire road. It didn't say abandon a portion of church road or this part of church road. So in the interest of trying to understand the problem with what you put out on the easements and all that, I agreed to assume that responsibility. Because I didn't think it was fair to you to have done that or whoever did it, and then give you, and then say, oh, by the way, you're gonna have to go hire a surveyor for $500, $600, $700 to straighten out the easement. So I did recommend to Bruce that we handle that part, Because by giving you the road, we're creating a hardship at that point in time. So that part we're gonna take care of, but,
And we are going to continue to plow the other end.
and we're gonna plow the other end, we're not stopping that. You know,
Well, I wasn't clear on that. Which other end do you have?
No, we're doing the cemetery road, we've always followed too.
Yes.
All of that side.
You know, some of it, if you look at Church Road, comes all the way back out to Route 1, but we understand that, and it's in our file to the cemetery road, so. Church Road actually used to go through the firehouse.
Originally.
Come out by the river.
Right.
So,
As both the moderator of the church, the lay leader of the church, and a citizen of the town, it's not always an easy position to be in like this, but even though the church, at our church board meeting, didn't come up with an official position on it, it was left that it was in our best interest to allow the town to go through with its proposal to abandon the road. Considering the great relationship I feel we've had since I've been a member of the church with the town and hope to do so in the future, I think considering we took over the Academy building and we own all the property that touches Church Road, I think it's a fair decision. And one thing I have to bring up to everybody is about 17 years ago when the church wanted to expand their building, they came to the town and asked them to abandon the middle of Church Road so we could put a building there. And the town at that point was gracious enough to abandon the road for our purposes then. So for us to turn around and tell the town that we don't want you to abandon this little section of it on either end because it may affect some of our costs as far as snow plowing and road repair in the future. I think it's a small price to pay for continuing to have good relations with the town, and I think that's the fair thing to allow the town to abandon the road.
And I'll comment that, a couple of years ago, we were asked to do some repairs because of the traffic coming from the Academy building around the back. And we did want to do some repairs in the back. So we did a lot of repairs.
We did this year as well, just before the fair.
yeah.
Yeah, we did a significant amount of work in the back of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
All true, all true.
Which we appreciate.
it was always a handshake.
Which we appreciate. But there is a lot, I do want to say a couple of things. As the pastor, and my wife and I do live on Church Road.
Yes, you do.
And the parsonage has been there for many decades. There's a lot of traffic that goes by us. And it's not just for the food pantry or for church events, but there's a lot of traffic. And I realize that there are some people who try to cut through because there's so much traffic on the road, looking for a way to get to Route 81. And they realize that there is no shortcut there, so there is a lot of traffic. And I think there is a way that we do supply a service to the town for allowing people to be moving and transporting themselves really through our property. We don't know who they are, a lot of them are. That's also, secondly, there's also an historic significance that was part of the Boston Post Road, and that was all part of it. I have really thought about it and prayed about it, and I think it would be best if the church did accept the road. But I do hope, and I speak to the powers that be here, as well as to planning and zoning, which was kind of at sea about this whole event, that we really need to strengthen our lines of communication. It's a two-way street. It's not only going into the first selectman's office, but it's also over across the street at the church. But the door is always open there too. So we need to keep those lines of communication open.
In our other departments too, DPW, planning and zoning, all the departments that impact you.
Because my sense was that this was going to be a long process, and probably wouldn't happen until February or March. And that was information that was presented to me. So it did seem to happen very quickly. But I'm willing to.
Well, I think even we anticipated it would take longer than it did. But there was no attempt to not be transparent about this in any way, shape, or form. It's the proper protocol to do when you turn a property over to a private owner or a corporation. The road goes with it.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Maybe a time when the town will want Church Road back. And our church granted
What's it gonna
about
cost?
17 acres of property down at Clinton down Beach to help with the beach.
Yep.
And there are members of the church who look at that and say, wow, that was pretty generous.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for.
One more point, if I might. What you were saying is the traffic that goes through there. That's even another reason why you should really consider continuing one-way traffic.
Now we will think about it.
As a matter of practice, we mark private roads. However,
How
if
do
you
you mark? What do you mean?
we put a street sign on, and it's for our first responders, so they can find. you
Well, I
know.
appreciate that.
So, but we can also, we can also put it through traffic. If you want us to change the sign or change, the word, to add some type of signage to it, which we do for private, we do for everybody. That says, no through traffic or private way or.
Peter, I appreciate that, but I think people are going to use it anyway.
Yeah.
My point is that if it's going to be used, it should be more accessible. And we'll talk about that in-house with the
Yeah.
church, that's a church.
But we can do that if you need that.
Thank you.
But again, it will also be up to the state as to whether it's one way or not.
Yeah, we're actually gonna look at doing that. Yeah, we are looking at
And one other question, maybe you have an answer. I know when you said when Church Road enters Route 1, the state's involved. How about the other end of Church Road where it enters Cemetery Road?
that would be the town would have to be involved in that.
So the town could make that little section too?
Well, I'd have to have an engineering study done and fill out an application to the state to be granted access to the right of way wider than what's there now.
That's at the exit.
Yeah, at the exit.
Both controlled by the
They're
state.
both controlled by the state.
Okay.
But are you talking about where it comes off the Cemetery Road, that little
That's,
spur?
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little
one
one.
comes out on Route 1. That's what-
No, not where it comes on
Not the
Route 1.
cemetery.
When it comes around the back of the church,
Yeah.
the church road picks up again.
Yeah.
Just this section in front of the Pape House or the New Cemetery Association house, there's a sign that says that the street is one way
Yeah,
for about,
That's private, it'll become private property, so.
that's private property, so you can do whatever you want.
so we can take the sign down from there.
Or
Not
one of the-
not that anybody ever pays
No.
attention.
They're guidelines.
Like
Unless you can get arrested for it, it's just a guideline.
I'll be the first one in jail.
Well, we don't pay any attention.
But we could just take that sign down.
Yeah, take it down.
Okay, that's good to know.
I'll take it
It's
down.
also interesting to note, just as an aside, on the deed going back to November of 1881, which you've got Carters and Elliots and Redfields on there. So it's pretty neat stuff.
Will we also get a deed for the property, or is it just part of the legislative action for the church road?
Yeah, I think
Very
that-
quick link,
I
right?
think it's a quick claim, that's the only thing.
Which will be in the form of a deed.
Yep, very simplified.
You want $1?
Technically, you already paid us $1, which we thank you for.
We're going to make an offer on the school too for a government.
There you go.
You thought the academy building was a problem.
Yes, it is. We'll take it all back.
May I ask one question? So if that house, the Cemetery Association house, gets sold in the future, Was there gonna be an easement there?
That's what we just-
That'll
Yeah.
be included with the deed when the house gets sold?
That's a separate deed,
Mm-hmm,
so the church has to grant them the easement, the town's gonna pay to have the easement drawn up.
correct.
Yeah.
But in the future, if that house ever gets sold, that easement will go along with that sale, or that'll be
Yes.
separate, or what?
It
What
goes
sort of-
forward.
It's part of it,
It'll be part of the process. Okay, good. Thank you.
Goes with the property.
Okay.
Land. That's right.
Called what?
It is.
Runs with the land.
It is called.
Right away to.
Like running with the bulls?
Yes.
Okay.
So then you appreciate the whole process of what we needed to go through. All right, if there's no further discussion, I would like to say those in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I'll abstain.
That's right. Three.
Four.
Four. And how many? Four,
There is.
just to be exact.
Does there need to be any type of quorum for this official?
No, there does not.
Sometimes you have to bring a custodian in.
So we have 4 abstaining and 8 in favor. So, majority rules. Okay.
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.